So hey everybody, welcome back to part 2 of the unboxing of everything Village Attacks. And in this part of the video I will unbox all 8 of these book-like expansions for Village Attacks, and they all have these names, like this is Despair and Abhorrance, and we've got Terror and Anguish and Dread and Malice and all sorts of cool names like that. And they all look, I'll just take another one here, they all look like books, so you can put them on your shelf like that. And they have, you know, the top looks like an old dusty tome, and the front as well with the title on it. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So yeah, I'll start with this one. And on the back you will see that it has 2 new player monsters and some village heroes as well. So town heroes, and I'll open up the box and show you its contents. So there we go. Right, so we've got 4 miniatures in here. So we have, let me see what they are called, so I'll take this out first. So we've got some village cards here. So we have the Fisherman and the Portal Mage. So that's pretty cool. Let me just show you a bit closer. So the Fisherman has all his fisherman gear. He actually has a squid on his shoulder. And the Portal Mage uses portals to swap around the place. And we've got some hero ability cards here as well. So yeah, and the monsters that come in this box are the Vodjanoi, which is a demon from Eastern European folklore, I would assume. And there's the Baba Yaga. So maybe they're both Russian. I know Baba Yaga is Russian at least. So yeah, that's pretty cool as well. So we have those, and on the back, as always, we have these sketches of early concepts. And here in the land of the Slavs, we have some backstory. Here as well, Eastern Europe. So that's the theme of this expansion. So here is that creepy looking monster. It's really huge head, is kind of a water creature, and it looks like it has some kind of, you know, scaly tail. So a body or a tail looks like a large water dragon of sorts. It's got 2 very tiny legs that are folded up and 2 huge hands with these scales on it. And it's holding, I think it's a little box, like a tinder box, or maybe a compass or something. I mean, is that on the artwork? Well, yeah, you can see that there's some kind of silver box there. No idea what that is. So, and the long, you know, wet hair. So that looks particularly creepy. And we have the Baba Yaga, the witch that flies around on her cauldron. And that's really nice. They use her billowing cloak to attach to the base, so it really looks like she's flying and howling, and she's got this club ready to smack you. So you can play as the Baba Yaga and scare away the villagers. Really nice. Lots of detail. So that's the Baba Yaga. Let's have a look at the Portal Mage. So, you know, appropriately, here is the portal. A very flat portal, and she's stepping out of that. Or is it a he? No, I think it's a she. Let me see at the card here. Yeah, I think that's a woman. Yep. So, okay. The Portal Mage, who is, you know, carrying her sword, just peeping through the portal there. That's pretty cool. She's, you know, just stepping through or jumping through. So that's a nice kind of village hero, and I really like the fisherman. The fisherman is just cool. He looks really tough. This bald, bearded fisherman with this huge harpoon. And he looks like he can shoot that because there's a rope attached here, and he's got this squid on his shoulder. I hope you can see that well, but that's really funny. And he's got another harpoon or harpoon heads on his back, so he can shoot those as well. So those are the 4 miniatures that you get in Despair and Abhorrance. Let's open up the next one. Okay, next up is Dread and Malice. Another mini expansion for village attacks. And this has also, like all of them, 2 monsters that you can play as and 2 village heroes, town heroes. So let me open up the box. And inside the box, that goes very easily. We've got the miniatures first, so let me just take that out and show you what they are. So the village heroes over here are the Berserker and the Engineer. So the Engineer has this huge steampunk metal, you know, war frame that he's wearing, and the Berserker is, you know, sort of like this warrior with dual blades, just running up and furiously attacking. So we have those, and we have the monsters, the Boogeyman and Krampus. He looks really cool. The bag of bones. And on the back, some preliminary art for the Boogeyman with a bit of backstory, and Krampus with some backstory as well. Let me show you the miniatures. Alright, so first of all, this imposing looking fellow, wow, the Engineer, that is just so cool. So we've got this huge armor with this guy inside, you know, just stomping towards you, this huge steampunk armor. Look at all that detail. Look at those fists. That is really, really cool. Loving this one. This is one of my favorites. Absolutely super cool. And we have this Berserker, who looks nice. So he's got this this scream on his face. He's like, "Raw, I'm coming." It's 2 blades running at you. Also plenty of detail there. He's a bit light, so it's a bit hard to focus, but I'm sure you can tell that there's plenty of details. Got a ripped body. 2 big blades on his hands. The Berserker. Alright, so we've got the Boogeyman. So rather big figure actually, holding this staff with all these tiny things, and it's a bit fragile, so I'm not gonna touch that too much. I've heard people receiving this with a broken staff, but fortunately this one survived the postal service, and it's got a really cool cloak with lots of detail on it. Really like that. It's like, you know, this billowing wind or dust or you know, some kind of mist surrounding it. Inside here too, you can see the ribs and all those billowing, you know, clouds. Creepy face. Looks really cool. It's like he's, you know, using a marionette. He's got this puppet hanging there. Puppet master. So I'll carefully put that back in here. Is this the way it goes, or is that the way it goes? Nope, I'll have to figure that out again. Well, in any case, and here is Krampus. Oh, let me get him. And Krampus looks cool with his huge horns and his bag filled with bones. I have to say, so far this is, I think, my favorite mini expansion. I really love these, the heroes and the monsters alike. He's wearing these furs, or maybe they're leaves. I think it's fur. And he seems to have a tail. He's got these big pointy goblin-like ears, big teeth. He's holding this bone, kind of a sickle, or this pointy hammer, a tiny scythe, whatever it is. War hammer. But I really like the bag and the skulls peeping out. Yeah, okay. So that is Dread and Malice. Let's open up the next expansion. Okay, let's see what's inside Doom and Suffering. Another expansion for Village Attacks, which again has 2 villains and 2 heroes. So let's open it up. So there we go. Let's take out the insert first carefully. There we go. So let's take a look at these boards. So we got the upgrades for the villains. And we have these 2 hunters. Let's focus on that. So there's the druid and the paladin. We have some nice artwork as well. A mythic and undead. And some art on the back. Some of these upgrades are double-sided. Here are the cards for the villains. So we have the Woad of the Wild Hunt, a mythic monster. Look at how big he is. That's pretty cool. He has 2 dogs as well, hounds, with his sketches and a bit of a backstory there. Looking really cool. And there's the Jack of the Lantern, who is an undead creature with this cool looking lantern there. Lots of hair. And he has this artwork as well. A Damned Wanderer. So let's have a look at those minis. So we get the colors again for the Mystic and the Undead. So let's take a look at this huge dude. Really cool looking with big ags and all those horns. Lots of detail. He has these chains and a big billowing cape with some fur here at the top. Really nice. Heavy armor on. And standing, cool with his foot on this rock. Okay, so that's him with his 2 hounds. So I'll carefully take those out. Are they both the same? No, they're actually different sculpts. So that's pretty cool. So we have this guy here. Yes, hound. And a second one. So that's pretty nice. 2 hounds for the Woad. The Jack of the Lantern is over here with his beard wrapped around all of his body. That's pretty cool. Holding that lantern over there. And yep. Try to keep focused. So that's pretty cool. Really strange creature. So there we have the druid. Yes, this is the druid in the darker gray plastic, holding her staff. Really nice dynamic pose as well. So that's her. And the paladin, if I can get him out carefully, but there's a really thin sword here because his sword is held by the top of the pommel, and that is just extremely thin. So I'm not going to mess with that too much. So yeah, I like the detail on these miniatures a lot, and I like the dynamic poses, but some of them have some scarily thin parts. So be careful while handling these. But it's looking very nice. Look at all the detail, and the armor pieces, and all the crosses that he's carrying. So that's that expansion. Let's go to the next one. Village Attacks, Terror, and Anguish. These very nice names that these expansions have. Okay, so again, an expansion with 2 monsters and 2 hunters. Let's open that up. Right. Wow, some really cool looking miniatures here. So let's take out the insert first and take a look at the cards. So the hunters in this one are the Illusionist and the Plague Doctor. I love me a good Plague Doctor. And of course the upgrades for the monsters, for when they level. And their character boards are the usual bigger boards for the werewolf, who can pounce, has a howl, can make people terror struck. Really cool. He's a cursed creature, and he's got some cool artwork on the back as well, with his story, shape-shifting lycanthrope, plus the Sandman. The Sandman over here, you know, made of sand. He's an arcane creature. And there's some more artwork here. The Caster of Nightmares. So let's take a look at the minis. So let's start with the Sandman here. And he's got all of this cloak that's, you know, made from sand, just like in the artwork. So he's pretty smooth looking miniature, but here where his cloak has taken shape, it's more detailed. It's got some stitches there. And his hand is still, you know, being formed, and as well as his axe made from sand. But here the back of his cloak is nice and detailed. He's got these shreds of cloak hanging there. Thin legs, but fortunately this one has some extra supports in the form of these sand pillars. Come on, focus. So there you go. So this is, even though he has very thin legs, is a lot more sturdy. So that's good. And then we have the werewolf, the lycanthrope, and that is just a beast. Look at how huge it is. Really, really impressive. Very cool. Also a lot of details, shredded clothing, and still some shreds hanging at his back here. Lots of hair, of course, this big mane on his back, kind of like a mohawk. Big, nasty, growling face. Huge hands. He's got some scars everywhere. Really nice. I love this miniature. So the Plague Doctor, oh, that is very cool. Has, of course, his trademark bird-like gas mask on. He's got some tweezers or tongs there. Yeah, I don't know what he does with that. I don't want to know. He's got some strange apparatus in his other hand as well, this stuff. Look at that. That's something straight out of a horror movie. Kind of reminds me of Beetlejuice. One of the ghosts that turn into this beak-like horrors. With his steampunk looking, I guess it's a rebreather on his back or something, because that goes into his mask. And he's got a knife on his belt. Alright, so that is the Plague Doctor. And then we also have this, what was it again? The Illusionist. Is that the Illusionist? Oh yeah, I see. He's summoned, or she has summoned a monster behind her. So that's interesting, see? The Illusionist is in the front. The woman who's doing all the casting. And she's summoning this demon illusion behind her. That's pretty cool. See, there it is, and it's being, you know, formed out of this dark cloud. That is really cool. I love that. Interesting. This is a very interesting sculpt. Lots of details as well. Nice. All right, so those are the miniatures in Terror and Anguish. Let's go to the next box. All right, Wrath and Ruin, another expansion for village attacks with 2 hunters and 2 monsters. So there we go, that's them there. Let's open it up and have a closer look. So let's take a look at the cards first. So we've got these 2 hunters, which are the Pathfinder and the Jaeger, the Jailer, the Jailer. Pathfinder and the Jailer. Some cool artwork there. Plus, of course, the upgrades for the monsters we'll be playing. Double-sided. And here are the character boards. So this is the Glaystig, which is a cursed creature. She has these hooved legs. And she has some spells right here: piercing bolt, lead astray, lured to their doom. And here's the Glaystig's backstory and alternative artwork. So that's a Scottish mythic creature, a cursed creature. And then we have the Leshy. This is a mythic creature, which kind of looks like an ent of sorts. It has thorns, wrath of the forest, and growth. And this mythic creature is an ancient protector from Central and Eastern Europe. Really like that artwork as well. So yep, that's the Glaystig and the Leshy. Let's take a look at them. So we've got the appropriate colored bases for the hunters. Let's have a look at the Jailer first. So the Jailer over here is a burly looking man with lots of chains, of course. He's got a lantern and a big axe. So with a key, oh, that's a nice touch. That's a huge key, look at that. That's very thematic. He's got some locks and stuff hanging around his belt, some handcuffs. So yep, that's truly a Jailer. Very nice. Cool detail, lovely mustache. All right, the Jailer. The Pathfinder, also an interesting one. Has these cool horns on his headpiece. Has a bow on her headpiece, I should say. She has a bow and a sword. And she's also standing on this piece of rock or a stump, and it's got plenty of big billowing coats with fur. So that's pretty cool. Nice model. Let's look at the monsters. So the Glaystig, there she is with her hooved feet, also a big bellowing cape, carrying some sort of axe. Nice detail on the cloak there. And she's apparently casting some sort of magic. So that looks really nice and detailed. She is on a very thin, well, relatively thin foot, but it's sturdy enough. It's not that fragile, fortunately. And here is the Leshy. Really nice. He's got all these growths on his legs, and these, you know, he's made of trees. He's a wooden creature, creature of the forest, so he's got all this moss and stuff growing on him. Really nice. And the antlers made out of, you know, basically branches, carrying this staff as well. Lots of leaves. Some skulls here on his belt. Nice. Lovely miniature. So that's all 4 in this Wrath and Ruin expansion. Let's go to the next box. So next up is Rage and Avarice. Okay. And we have, again, 4 miniatures. Let's open that up. That's looks interesting. So there we go. All right, let's just take out the insert first and have a look at these boards. So again, upgrades for the skills of the monsters, and these 2 hunters look kind of Native American. So we've got the Wind Dancer and the Spirit Tracker. So that's a nice theme. And so we got a Demon Hunter and a Cursed Hunter. So that's the artwork and the cards for those. And then we have these monsters from the same folklore as well. So we've got the Baycock, who is a demon, very skinny, skeletal looking demon. And he has a shrill cry and devour. Nice. Here's some artwork of some different iterations of that figure. A warrior hunter described as death in the Song of Hiawatha. So also from Native American culture and folklore. And of course also the Wendigo, who is perhaps a bit better known, because we've seen Wendigos in several games, I recall. And that's a big nasty looking creature who mutilates and cannibalizes. And here is some other artwork for that. The Aspect of Hunger. The Algonquian people of America. All right. So pretty cool. Let's take a look at those miniatures. So let me just put the names here so I can remember. So this is the Wind Dancer with his nice feathered headpiece. Very nice. In a very dynamic position, running with his tomahawk and a bow. Looking cool, looking fierce. So that's a hunter you need to be wary of. And there she goes. And we have another one, the Spirit Tracker, with also lots of feathers and a nice kind of a mohawk. Also with 2 axes, 2 tomahawks. And he's got some knives on his back as well. And he's walking. He's not running, he's walking. He's confident. So that's the Spirit Tracker. Then we have the Baycock. So the Baycock here, being the thin creature that he is, fortunately has a foot that's just thick enough to not tumble over. He's leaning forward because he's running. It's running. It's got some skulls here on the hip, on a belt, holding a stick, lashing on with a stick, but it also has a bow and a quiver with some arrows. So that's nice stuff of nightmares there. And finally, the Wendigo. This creepy looking creature with the antlers. Lots of bone there. You can see the rib cage. Muscular legs. Lots of arms. It's got 4 arms. Look at all the detail. That's really cool. Like an almost rotting corpse that needs to feed. Very nice. Loving the detail on this one as well. And it's pretty big too. Alright, so that's Rage and Avarice. Let's go to another box. Alright, box number 7, Greed and Fury. So what is inside Greed and Fury? There we go. 4 more miniatures, 2 hunters, 2 monsters. Let's have a look. So there we go. And again, one of these inserts doesn't quite fit nicely. It's not entirely flush. So the inserts, again, could have been done slightly better, I feel. I mean, yeah. They don't feel entirely safe in there, I have the impression. But okay, so here are the cards for the hunters. So we have the Celt and the Shield Maiden. So these are all based on, Germanic Norse mythology, I would guess. So the Celt, a big burly man, and the Shield Maiden. There we go, with the upgrade tokens cards here for the monsters. And the monsters themselves are, let's see, a Draugr, which is basically some sort of zombie from Norse mythology. And they're in Skyrim as well, if you played that video game. So the Draugr is an ancient guard with abominable strength. I reckon both. So here he is, the merciless spectre. So they guard the graves of those who've fallen in the tombs of Scandinavia. So the Draugr. And here's the Redcap, who's a mythic creature. And he has a big pike. And what's that? It's a vicious goblin. So native to the English and Scottish border. So the Redcap. Let's take a look at those minis. So I'll take the Redcap first. He's nice and small, with his big pike, his halberd. So here he is, running, screaming for blood. Nasty little creature there. And plenty of detail on it. It's wearing some kind of armor and a kilt, it seems. So that's nice. There's some engraving there, or is that just scratches on the axe there? Yeah. Okay, the Redcap. The Draugr here, the big undead guardian. So there he is, and both his hands have these magical, fiery effects going on. He's wearing some ancient armor, kind of like a He-Man belt there. Also wearing some sort of kilt. And I think he lost his lower jaw. And he's wearing some furs. He's, big and tough looking, sturdy, thick legs, thick arms. Really strong undead monster. Loving this sculpt. This is really cool. So there we have the Shield Maiden. Not to be trifled with. So she has a huge axe. She's armored, ready for battle, and of course has her shield on her back. Shield Maidens. Fierce warriors from Viking history. So that's her. And then we have the Celt. So here he is. He's a really big, strong-looking, burly man. Lots of muscles. Carrying this giant pole, this club, to beat you with. And he's also wearing some furs and these nice leather straps. And he's got this pouch, this belt pouch, that we also often see in, worn by the Scots on their kilts. He's got pants on though. So, yep, the Celt. There we go. 4 miniatures. Okay, let's go to the last expansion. Okay, I hope you're still with me, because here it is, last but not least, the Fear and Torment expansion for village attacks. And there we go, Fear and Torment, and there's 4 creatures in this as well, 2 monsters and 2 hunters. Let's open up the box. And this box is a bit tighter, but let's just carefully pull that loose. Okay, so that's interesting looking creatures there. So let me just take out the insert carefully and show you these boards. So first of all, the hunters. Again, these 2 cards. We have a battle mage and an exorcist. So that's them. Take a look at the art here. So an arcane and a demon hunter. And again, the 3 upgrade tiles for both the monsters. And there we have their boards. So we've got Spring-Heeled Jack, who is a demon from, you know, English folklore. He's got a top hat, he's got burning eyes, large knives for claws. So that's Spring-Heeled Jack. He terrifies hysteria and he can leap. So there's some additional artwork for that. The Bane of London. So that's nice. I like that. Spring-Heeled Jack. And here's Black Anise, an arcane monster who does transmutation, has iron claws as well, and flays its victims. And she's the crone of the countryside, Black Anise. Also from English folklore, here are some different artworks for her. Yep, so that's a pretty creepy hag. She's carrying, you know, human body parts and all these pictures, so there might be some on the miniature as well. Okay, let's take a look at those minis. So first of all, the battle mage, who is summoning some swords, as you can see, and it was in the art as well. She has a, or he or she has a, I think it's a he, yeah, that's a he, has a shield and is summoning these swords flying towards his enemy. A billowing cape hanging over his armor. So he's armored up, he's ready to fight, he's a battle mage. So pretty nice, kind of like in Arthurian history, you know, battle mages. And here is the exorcist. Let me just carefully get that. And that's pretty cool. The exorcist, she has a bird. So she's holding this piece of scripture, big broad-rimmed hat. She's got these this cloak on, these robes, and some scrolls, and probably a Bible on her belt. So that's pretty nice. And she's holding this big staff with a cross, of course, and on it is perched this bird. Can't tell what kind of bird that is. I don't know if exorcists usually carry a type of bird. If you know, you just put it in the comments. I'd love to know. So the exorcist right there, very cool. So let's take a look at Spring-Heeled Jack here, the Bane of London. Look at that. Look at that detail. The big top hat, the creepy looking skin, the claws. He even has a walking cane, because with his top hat and his walking cane, he wants to be sophisticated, but he's terrifying. Really cool. And finally, we've got this crone Black Anise. Okay, so wow. Black Anise, a rather big woman with a very beaky looking nose, wearing some sort of mask there. She's got knives, you know, tied to her arms, to her hands. She's got this big, billowing, feathery robe on, this coat with a smaller coat over it. And this looks like it's made of skin, you know, somebody's face. Everything's stitched together there, and she's got some body parts in her basket in here. That's gruesome. Absolutely gruesome. Lots of detail. Really cool. Loving that. And that is Black Anise. And that's all the expansions for Village Attacks. So thank you for sticking to the end. And this was part 2 of the unboxing of everything Village Attacks. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time on Board Game Heaven.